everyone, my name is Sha-En and I'm the founder of Happiness Scientists. It's been quite a journey starting my life out as a teacher, spending about 6 years in education, learning about students and their emotional well-being, learning about guidance and counseling. And I guess that sparked my interest in this whole area of positive psychology. Because of that, I went overseas to the University of Pennsylvania, where I learned directly from Dr. Martin Seligman and many of the researchers about how to live a flourishing life. And I was most inspired to take up that journey because at the time I was a mother to my daughter, and I was in University of Pennsylvania when she was only 10 months old. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm not exactly sure how to be a parent. Nobody's given a manual on how to do that. And maybe this course can give me some tools and strategies to be able to navigate this journey called parenting. And I guess after learning the course, I realized, number one, that I made so many mistakes when I was a teacher. And everything that I did was almost counter to what positive psychology is all about. But now I had an opportunity to use it with my own children, and also an opportunity to bring whatever I had learned to the schools in Singapore. So for the last 11 years, that's exactly what I've been doing. I've brought the research, the tools, and the strategies to many schools in Singapore and beyond Singapore, and also some corporates, to share with them how they can use the tools to support their overall well-being so that they can flourish and thrive. My Infijoy course is about supporting your child's emotional well-being. And I chose this particular area on emotional well-being because I've noticed that not just for my children, but for many youth and children that I work with, or many parents that share with me some of their challenges, it almost always comes back to handling these big emotions. And so the course centers around this concept of understanding what emotions are all about and how we can better support them by learning how to regulate, and also creating space for them to healthily express their emotion, and so much more. And I guess I got really inspired by this because when I used the strategies that I share in the course, it helped me so much as a parent, and at the same time supported my children as well. And all in all, I get to see them be happier, more stable emotionally. And that also reminds me that, hey, all of this is possible. And it begins with taking just some steps in the right direction. It's really important to learn about children's emotional well-being because when their emotions are overwhelming or when they're unable to manage their emotions, it shows up in all their behavior. And I call this, and I like to use the iceberg analogy. When they have emotional needs that are not met, they have behavior that we deem undesirable. For example, throwing temper tantrums, giving snide remarks, stomping away, ignoring you. And we may think, that's a rude child over there. But actually, it is just that they have some emotions bubbling underneath, which is the bottom of the iceberg, that then manifests in what we see, which is the tip of the iceberg. And to me, it's really relevant in the times now. We are going through unprecedented times, and the external environment can sometimes be very challenging. We are talking not just about what they're going through in school, but for some of them, they may be living in unstable environments. Some of them may be spending a lot of time on social media and facing things like cyberbullying, social comparison. Some of them have family environments which are not exactly supportive. And if we learn how to support the emotional resilience of your child, then we are giving them a super strong foundation in which they can learn to manage and regulate their emotions. All in all, it supports them to be able to thrive. And isn't that what we want for our children? Some of the alarming statistics that prompted me to want to create this course include surveys run by the National Youth Council in Singapore, which reported in 2020 that 52% of the youth were currently experiencing a mental health disorder. And if we look at the global statistics from the World Health Organization, they also found that across the sampled population across the world of youth and young people, that 1 in 7 were currently also experiencing a mental health condition. Suicide rates in general have also been on the uptick, and that is cause for concern. When we support children with their emotional well-being, we are helping them to deal with the emotional distress they might be experiencing from within them. I'd love to share with you a quick tool to support your child's emotional well-being called emotion coaching. A process developed by Drs. John and Julie Gottman. It is essentially you being a coach to support your child when they have overwhelming or difficult emotions, instead of ignoring or dismissing them, or maybe even panicking on the inside because you don't know what to do. Emotion coaching offers a structure within which you can support your child's big emotions. There are 5 steps to emotion coaching, and the first step is recognizing your child's emotion by noticing and observing how they might be feeling in the moment. The second step is to capitalize or recognize that this moment that they're having is a moment for connection, intimacy, or for teaching and learning. The third step is listening or empathizing with them, either by validating their emotion or just being present to what they're experiencing, lending a non-judgmental listening ear, and that supports them to be able to share with you what's going on. The fourth step is to help them to label their emotions. This means putting a name to the emotion. For example, I am feeling frustrated or I'm feeling sad. This act of labeling helps to calm down the emotional control center of their mind, which is the amygdala, and thus be able to make sense of their feeling and experience. Last of all, the fifth step is about you and your child working together, co-creating a potential solution to manage this overwhelming emotion better, or perhaps it is a misbehavior that has prompted this challenging emotion, in which case both of you can come together to co-create the solution. Altogether, the 5 steps provides a structure within which to soothe your child's overwhelming emotions and end on a positive note by resolution through solution brainstorming together with them. How can you use emotion coaching as a parent or as a teacher? As a parent, one of the times that you can use emotion coaching is when perhaps you start feeling frustrated about a repeated behavior, maybe not tidying up their room or taking a very long time to complete their homework, or perhaps they have certain actions that have resulted in you and them having some tension, and that's when you can bring in the emotion coaching. Of course, when they are going through some challenge or difficulty, it is also a great time. And remember, it begins with self-awareness, how you are feeling, and also noticing how they are feeling. In the classroom, it's quite similar as well, but in the classroom, you have a slightly different setting in the sense that you have so many more children that you have to manage, in which case you can use emotion coaching, first of all, by kind of sensing how the students are feeling, and that provides an opportunity to perhaps share with them something about that particular emotion that you're observing. For example, they might all be feeling anxious before an academic test. And step 2 of emotion coaching is recognizing the emotion as an opportunity for teaching and learning. And so you could let them know in what circumstances do people feel anxious, what is anxiety all about, and maybe then invite them to share with you what are some of the challenges that they are facing. On a one-to-one basis, that's also possible with your student. For example, students who don't get along or there's some misunderstanding or conflict. While you talk to the individuals before they come together, emotion coaching can also be a good process because it's likely they're all feeling heightened emotions at that moment, and trying to have them have a conversation at that point is just going to result in maybe more conflict. So in that scenario, you might want to separate the 1 or 2 parties or whoever's involved, go through the process of emotion coaching with each of them, and then perhaps bring them together when they're a little bit calmer. I hope that some of these examples gives you an idea of when you could use this really effective tool of emotion coaching. Let me share with you a story of when I supported my younger daughter when she was feeling really upset. In the recent pandemic, many of us had to be forced to work from home, and for me, there was no exception. As a speaker and a trainer, I deliver lessons most of the time face-to-face, but during the pandemic, I had to do it all virtually. And at the same time, my children were at home. It was the first time ever that I had to close my door while delivering my webinars or seminars and have my children outside the room. On one particular occasion, maybe one of the first few times, she was not used to not being close to me, and so she kept banging on the door. And I tried to ignore her banging for quite a long time. And after the banging, there was silence, and I knew that the next thing was going to happen was that she would start to cry. And so, for some reason, she managed to come into the room, and she came crying right in the midst of me delivering a seminar. At that point, I have two choices. One, I could shout at her and ask her to go away because she's disrupting me, or I could be the supportive mom and attend to her emotional needs at that point. And of course, I chose the second option. I looked at her. She looked so upset. Tears were streaming down her face. And I know that maybe what she needed was not that she wanted to disrupt my class, but that she just wanted some time with me. So I told the participants, "Do you mind if my daughter joins us for the session?" And most of them agreed. And so I invited her to sit on my lap, gave her a hug, and soothed her by patting her back. And I told her, "Mommy's here. I know it's weird that Mommy has to continue working and you need me, but you can stay as long as you want." And guess what? For the rest of the session, she was sitting, hugging me, while I continued sharing my knowledge with the participants. You might think that's quite a funny picture, but in that moment, again, as I said, I have two choices. I can attend to her needs, or I can just be the tiger mom. But if I were to choose the tiger mom option and shouting at her, what is likely to happen? She'll probably be more and more upset, and it would take far longer to calm her down. And that would be a lose-lose. I might have to stop my webinar there and then. But if I attended to her emotional needs, I knew that it would soothe her almost immediately. And that's exactly what happened. Attending to your emotional needs of your child allows us to better understand them. And because their needs are met, the solution or the situation is remedied so much faster than if we were to just use the logical approach. Or even ask them, "Can you just listen to what I'm saying?" Attending to their needs is always something that we should put as a priority. And I hope that it works out for you as well. In my Infijoy course on children's emotional well-being, you'll get to hear more stories like this and also learn practical research-based tools and strategies that you can use to support your child's emotional resilience and well-being. Some of the things you get to learn are, first of all, understanding what emotional resilience is about, and then how you can equip your children and yourself on supporting their emotions by learning to be aware of their emotions, learning to regulate their emotions, creating platforms for healthy emotional expression, learning 5 steps of emotion coaching, bringing in the positive emotions to create a balanced and uplifting environment, and having a large big picture view of resilience holistically. So over the course of 2 weeks, you'll get access to daily videos in which you'll learn the practical tools and strategies. There will also be tasks for you to integrate whatever you have learned into your day-to-day environment. And the hope behind this is that not just to learn whatever it is cognitively, but to also experience some of the strategies and then be able to practically apply it. As the saying goes, when you practice it, the better you'll become at it. And remember, practice makes progress. If we don't take the first step forward, it is going to be even more challenging. So I hope you're looking forward to those daily tasks and tips which can strengthen your ability to support your child's emotional well-being. This course is meant for parents or teachers working with children and youth, especially if you want to learn how to support the emotional well-being and resilience of the children in your care. I look forward to seeing you there, and I hope you'll join me on this course. I really enjoyed making it, and I believe that there's so much that you can learn from it, which you can use to support your child and also empower yourself to feel confident in this journey that you're going to take.